Good afternoon, everyone. It's nice to see familiar faces. Welcome to the third webinar in our Educational Technology webinar series. We have here today, again, Dr. Wren. She will be talking about Seesaw, the second of our digital portfolios topic. And I will do announcements again. I'm sure you're familiar with all these announcements, but just as a reminder, since this webinar is being recorded, we ask that you turn your audio off during the presentation. And this is just to make sure that we don't have any overlap in the audio in the recording. And if you have any questions during the presentation, please share on the chat and we'll make sure those questions are addressed. And towards the end, of course, we will have a Q&A session. And if you would like to rewatch this webinar, all of the webinars are recorded and available on our website on the distance learning page. And I will share this link with you in the chat towards the end. Okay, and our feedback form. We really value your feedback. So I know some of you already filled out the feedback form from the first and the second webinar. You can address the questions since the last webinar. So anything that's changed, maybe since the last webinar during the week, you can put those feedback answers in the form. This is really valuable for us in planning future resources and future webinars. So please take the time to fill out the form, and I will share this link also in the chat. Okay, oh, and I'm the program coordinator of NRCAL, Seesaw. I will pass it on to Dr. Wren.
Hello, everybody. Just out of curiosity, I have a new background today, and this is Seesaw's, their logo, their new mantra is create, and you'll see why. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be putting the presentation in the link so that you guys have access to the presentation. There is a component of interacting, a lot more so than the last two sessions, so hopefully you'll have an opportunity to get in there into the presentation. And then also, as I am getting my screen shared, would you mind, I'm sure you're all Zoom professionals at this point. I mean, we've all been Zooming for a few weeks now, and some of you are probably ending the year soon, so you're probably done Zooming. But I thank you for coming. If you wouldn't mind getting to a situation where you can control your windows so that you can see both my presentation as well as a new window with the Seesaw application opened in it. So just be prepared. I'm going to ask you to go into Seesaw in a little bit so that you can participate and kind of feel how it goes in the application. This is your chance really to ask me questions that you may have or anything like that, because it's nice to always be able to try something new like this when you're when you have another expert around you. So that's always nice. Okay. So with that being said, let me get started on our presentation. I see a bunch of you have popped up, which is great. If you're still working on how to open up your screen, for those of you who don't know, the Zoom menu, when someone shares a screen, it will actually overtake, for the default settings, it'll overtake your screen. And if you want to, you can actually grab this part of the screen right here and pull it in so that you can make it smaller. And then on the side, you can have some of the other menu items over there. For today's presentation, you are going to need another tab. So maybe open up another tab and then keep it on the side so that you can bounce back and forth between Zoom and Seesaw. Hopefully you're getting all that situated. If you need help, let us know. Just throw a little hand up or maybe say something in the chat window. Okay, so let's get started. My name is Wren, and I currently am a TOSA. My full-time job is a TOSA, which is a teacher on special assignment in the Instructional Technology Department at Garden Grove Unified. For those of you who are around this area, it is right around the corner from Cal State Fullerton, and we are a very large, diverse urban school district that serves about 45,000 students, so huge school district, and we do serve the spectrum of student populations. So I do have a lot of fun in our district because it is quite diverse. But in addition to being a teacher on special assignment, I'm also an adjunct professor. I'm also an instructor for other universities, Cal State Fullerton being one of them, and I teach in the master's program here for Ed Tech. I love that job. That job is really fun because I get to really practice what I preach at Garden Grove Unified and then preach it and teach it to other teachers in the master's program. So if you're interested in that, in my presentation, there's a link here that you can just go to and learn about the program, and you can just click on that and find out more from them. But let's talk about Seesaw. So I recognize many of your names, so thank you so much for coming back. In the participant window, you have the ability to say yes, no, you can raise your hand, you can tell me to go faster, go slower. So make sure you use those tools. But also in the chat window, you have the ability to kind of talk back and forth with me. Can you tell me a little bit about Seesaw? What brought you here today? And then also tell me your comfort level. Have you heard of it before? Have you seen it? Is your child's teacher using it? So what is it that about Seesaw that kind of brought you here today? You must have, it's either that or you're like, wow, NRCAL is doing such great webinars and Dr. Wren is amazing, so I'm gonna go see her. So it could be any number of reasons why you're here today, but I just wanna know, like, what is it that you are interested in about Seesaw? Okay, awesome, you wanted to learn more. Okay, so I see a couple. One, oh, your daughter's teacher uses it. Your level is 4, great. Brand new, good, okay, 1. All right, so also, and I didn't have a slide for this, but I also wanted to see really what grade level you guys teach. So can you, in the chat box, tell me what grade level? You know, you may have adult learners, you may teach in a dual immersion program, you may teach just one foreign language. What is it that you teach and what grade level? So I can just kind of see 9-12, kinder, 9-12. We have someone who did use it, but you haven't used it. Oh, Quinn, you're going to see some really great changes. Adult learners, okay, kindergarten, dual immersion kindergarten, okay, foreign language, TK. Okay, so I see the spectrum. And here's the thing about Seesaw. It is not only for young students. For those of you who look at it and think, oh my goodness, it's so primary looking, it's actually not only for young students. I've presented Seesaw for NRCAL before, and I presented it alongside Google Sites, and it was by far the population that I presented it for, I believe was older, it was mostly 9-12. And I was a little bit worried thinking, oh my gosh, you're gonna see these graphics and I think it's super young. It's not. Actually, the teachers in that group were more interested in Seesaw because of the ability for you to do more multimedia. There's more sound involved. There's the ability for you to really record and create and hear and see student work. So you are in for a real treat today because Seesaw allows you to do so much. We had mentioned in the last presentation about the way we use technology, right? We talk about whether our students are being passive use or if they're actively doing something with their technology. We want them to be doing something and being active. When you walk into a room and you see kids on a device, if you're looking and they're just watching a video the whole time, they're just consuming. And there's nothing wrong with consuming. There's a time and a place. But to really make them start thinking and triggering those neurons in their brains, they do have to start using the technology, actively using that technology. We think about what's happening right now in our world with everyone being at home and staying at home. Now more than ever, technology is being used to babysit our children and babysit our students. And it's so sad, really, because we just don't know what our students can do. We don't have the ability to get that from them. the beauty of Seesaw is that we can have them do so much. And it was a lot of work in the making with this company, Seesaw, because I remember being in this company when I was still in the classroom before I became a TOSA, and they were able to grow so much from this, from the very first inception. And I recently had a roundtable with them, and you know what is on the horizon for next year is going to be really amazing. So let me just show you what it can be. I'm going to click on here. These are some possible applications for Seesaw. The difference between Seesaw and Google Sites is that Google Sites, you really have to be determined to use Google Sites as a portfolio. You need to be purposeful about what you add to it, and then how you organize things. With Seesaw, you just use it, and then all the students' work becomes their portfolio. It's just like a feed of all their work, and you don't have to really do anything to it. You just click on it and you see the portfolio of work. So it's a really nice way of seeing that. So let me just show you really what an example of an artifact looks like.
This is the circuit I built. The parts of my circuit are the switch, the battery, and the fan. When I first put my circuit together, it was not working. The problem was, up here, I realized that the positive and negative charges were in the opposite place. So I had to flip this piece around. And when I did that, it created a circuit that worked. It let the battery flow through to the fan. My next step is to make it lift off from the ground.
Isn't that really cool, Maria? I love your response. I love it. I mean, they are really just showing you what you can do, right? Here is an actual student. This was me taking a picture of the student doing this. So.
How to read a book. First you read your home and you read a play. Next, add two and put your feet.
So I don't know if you guys can see, but she has her iPad and she has Seesaw opened up, and she took a picture of her writing, which is sitting there right next to her on the desk, and she's reading her writing and she's underlining it as she's reading it. So when she's done recording, she can press the little submit button, and then the teacher will get an audio of her reading and then the little line that shows. So not only is the teacher getting progress of her reading, but she's also, as the student is making the video, so this was actually the best take she wanted me to use. When I originally took this shot, she made me start over many times because she kept messing up. So imagine the thinking that she has, the cognitive process where she's like, oh wait, I messed up, let me try again. How many times do kids do that when they're practicing reading? They think about it and they think, oh, I messed up, let me try again. They don't do that innately, but they'll do it if they're being recorded. Right? So the student really did have a great way of, really watching herself and being aware of how she's reading that story. And then here's another student who he just wanted to share because his friend got to share, so he wanted to share.
I'm going to show you how to add three numbers with regrouping. First, you add 7 plus 4 equals 11.
You can see the little tiny dots
then
there.
11 plus 1 equals 12. You put the 2 down here, and then the 1. So you add 3 plus 2 equals 5, then 5 plus 1 equals 6, then 6 plus 1 equals 7. So the answer is 72.
So you can see how that can be used in the classroom. That actually was the very first Seesaw video presentation I ever did when I became a TOSA. That was 4 years after, so that was 5 or 6 years ago. So the company has changed quite a bit. The creative tools are so much more advanced. So you can see how Seesaw really can show you what they're doing, right? They allow you to do so much and to see so much. and the students love it. The interface is easy, the creative tools are fun, so it gets really interesting. So let me show you what it looks like. When you're in Seesaw, you get two sections of your screen. This section right here is the feed. It's kind of like when you're looking at Facebook or social media, the feed that goes through the middle. And then this is all of the individual student journals. So if I clicked on Claire, I would just see Claire's journal. If I clicked on Emily, who has 18 items, I would just see Emily's journal. So it's a really nice way of seeing that. Now there's actually an improvement. They just improved it to where you can see the last time a student logged in. And so I know one of the things that people are trying to deal with right now is engagement and getting students to log in and check in. It's one of our biggest things. We can send them a form, we can call them, but now Seesaw will track the last time a student logged into the platform. So they'll have a date and a time here, which is great because then you know, okay, they're there, even though maybe they're not able to make my meetings, maybe, you know, mom and dad doesn't have a device for me, but they are there and they're trying to finish their work, which is a great way of just tracking where they're at. So, are you guys ready to get in and see what it looks like? What I'm going to have you do is I'm going to have you jump in, okay? But before you do that, I'm going to show you how you can jump in. This is my demo class right here. And I actually have nobody but myself in here. I have a sample student, which whenever you create a class, you have a sample student and then the list of your students. Right now, I have no list. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this little wrench and I'm going to add students. For those of you, I know there's a bunch of people here who teach younger students. For those of you who have younger students, the best thing to do might be to make this, oh, I can't change it right now, to make it to where the students sign in with one-to-one devices with a class code. And we'll show you later how to do that because with your students, email might not be easy for them. If email is something that's easy to do, I recommend it no matter what the age is. If your students are able to get in via email, use the method that I'm going to show you now, okay? And so then once you've added your students, then you'll start seeing them all populate. So are you guys ready? So here's what I want you to do. When you go into a new browser, a new tab, remember I talked to you about having that ready, you're going to go to, if you're on an iPad, you're going to grab this app. If you're not on an iPad, if you're on an iPad, you might want to spend some time downloading the app or maybe just go in through Safari, that might work too. If you're on a computer, click on this link and it will take you to Seesaw, okay? Then choose I'm a student. It's very important to go in as a student first. So choose I'm a student. And then here is the code. The letter I, J, C, K, U, D, I, U. Once you do that, it will ask you to sign in with your Google account, and then we'll get you all in. So I am going to wait just a little bit. If you guys could go follow these directions and get into a class, I'm going to give you a few minutes to get in there. I'm actually going to put the code in the chat so that you guys all have it, and then I'm actually going to go in and see who's jumping in. All right, Grace is in. And let me know if you guys are having a difficult time getting in.
Hi, Wren. Quick question.
Yes.
Someone asked if they have to go to the browser.
If they don't have, the app is so much easier. If you're on an iPad, the app is so much easier. If you can download the app quickly, maybe go in that way. But you want to do the Seesaw Classroom app. Let me see if I can get that. Seesaw. It looks like this. It's the class. That's the one you want to go to.
If we're on a computer PC.
If you're on a computer, just to go to the website, app.seesaw.me. Let's see if I can grab this. For some reason, it's not hyperlinking. There we go. There we go. Yeah, if you're on a computer or a laptop, desktop or a laptop, click on the link that's in the chat window, and that should get you in there. And then if you're on an iPad, I find it's a lot easier to use the app. The app looks exactly the same, but it's just less clunky. It's easier to see everything. It lays out really nicely. So I recommend using the app. Maria, I don't see you. I have one student in here. I still have the same code, right? IJCK. Well, Grace got in. Maybe I should reset. Let's see here. Well, hey, look at that. We're in. All right. May I get started or should I wait? Does anybody want me to wait? Okay. Minhee, if you wouldn't mind just helping if they need help and just to get in, but it looks like everyone's able to get in, so I think we're good. All right, so this is our creative tool, and this is what I'd like for you to do first, is I'd like for you just to take a picture. You are welcome. If you have an iPad, lucky you, because then you don't have to take a picture of yourself. If you have a computer, get ready, because that camera is gonna load up. So you're gonna see this little green plus sign right here, and then you're going to, yours should say add to journal or something like that, right? Let me see here. What does yours say? Yours should say tap on the plus and then the camera. I guess I don't have that one. So clap on the camera and then you're gonna take a photo. So I'm gonna do this. All right, and then you get all these fun creative tools. So you can add a text box, hello. You can move it around, you can do this bit. You can draw all over yourself. Say, I want to be silly and give myself a little mustache. There we go. This pen right here is everybody's favorite pen. They love it. Give myself some really pretty hair. Cover up all that gray that my stylist has not been able to get to. There we go, see? And then here's the best part. Over here, there's a microphone. I can click on the microphone, so I have to allow it, and then I can start recording, and it will record everything I do. So I am currently recording, and I can tell it's recording because the little timer is going off up here. What's really neat is while I'm recording, I can point to things. That's my beard, that's my mustache, that's a label. I can also annotate like that little boy did as he was in there playing around. And then if I'm done, I can stop the recording and my recording is right here. I can play it, I can re-record it, whatever it is that I want to do. So it's kind of up to me at this point. So now that I am all done here, I'm going to. I do. I am currently recording and I can tell it's recording. Okay, I like it, I think it's good. And so I'm gonna check that. And then I'm going to post as myself and click check. And now I have a video of myself and I, as the teacher, can see it and I can see the video. I do. I am currently recording and I can tell it's recording. All right, you guys ready to try it out? Go in there, play with that camera, test all of the little buttons. I'm gonna keep it open so that I can answer any questions that you have. I can answer any questions that you have about the creative tools. So go ahead and get in there, play, and submit something. Put something in there. And if you want, I'll delete yours later if you don't want to keep it in there. But a lot of people, this is your chance to kind of get in there and start adding things. Actually, I'm going to delete this one and put the instructions how to do that right here. Ooh, 5 unapproved posts. I'm gonna go look and see what you guys are putting in. I'm going to approve. I'm going to approve. Ooh, this is pretty. Going to approve. Oh, this is something that I wasn't gonna approve yet. Approve. Now, if you notice in the beginning, what you want to do is you can approve them one by one. Now, if you have an entire classroom submitting something all at the same time, that might be a lot of work for you. You can approve all of them at the same time, or if you want, you can just set it to where they don't require approval. Now, keep in mind that if you set it to where they don't require approval, then the students will need to choose good behavior, because we want them to be able to make good choices when they're posting things for everyone to see. So this is what I see. I see everybody's journal. If I wanted to, I can just click on one person's journal, but right now I see everybody's journal. It's really nice to be able to see, you know, like the whole feed, and it just continues to go on as it needs. Wow, that's a wonderful picture. Okay, and now you can actually see the date when people logged on, right? So you can see how I can check to see when people are logging on. All right, so please, by all means, please continue to, so is it because it's being used by, you're using the web version of Zoom. Quinn, I can help you with that, but I think you're gonna have to, you're not gonna be able to do it because you're gonna have to leave the web version of Zoom and download the software of Zoom. That's probably why you're not able to do that. So if the students are in Zoom on the browser, they're not gonna be able to also use the camera on Seesaw. So that if you have an assignment, maybe have them do it when they're not in the session with you.
Sorry, can I interject a little bit?
Yeah.
I just did it. I just changed. I was on Zoom, and I just our Zoom as the video webcam was on, and I just turned it off, and now you see my profile picture. If you do that, you're able to take a picture of yourself on Seesaw.
Oh, look at that. There you go. So you have to turn the camera off. Oh, I didn't realize you can disengage the camera that way. Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you for saying that.
Yeah,
Please,
no
if you guys have tips like that, by all means. I cannot even begin to claim that I am the expert of this kind of stuff. All right. Okay, so I'm going to keep going. I'll come back and review some more, but I wanted to make sure that you guys were able to see these different applications. So really simple and easy to use these creative tools, right? You have my presentation. These are all the things that you can do. I mean, it is there's so many creative tools that you can use inside of Seesaw that the world is your oyster when it comes to creativity. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna show you the assignment. Earlier, someone said, I'm in, I can tell because I see an assignment. I posted an assignment for you guys to do. I think you still have it. They're called activities in our, in Seesaw, and what you do is, as a teacher, you go here and you can go and assign an activity, right? So I'll go here and go to the activity library. These are my activities. These are just the ones either I created myself or I found in the library I thought was really cool and I brought them into my little library. But here are all the activities from the community. These are all Seesaw ambassadors that are using it. This is not just your random teacher. These are all Seesaw ambassadors. So I was in here earlier looking, and I actually know a lot of these people. Like I know Ben and Tim, which is great because they're real teachers, but they're teachers that have, you know, really good background in pedagogy and instruction. So these are really, really good lessons. So what I like to do is I like to go in and you can filter it. So I saw earlier some kindergarten, and we can look at all these different subjects here. We'll do world languages just so we can see what's available. A lot of Spanish here, right? So these are all lessons that were created by people that, most likely people that either teach in a dual immersion, but actually if it's kinder, it's probably a dual immersion program somewhere else, right? This one was created by Seesaw. This one was created by and here's a French one. I didn't see, I thought I saw some Vietnamese ones earlier. We'll just use this one right here that was created by Seesaw. So when you click on it, you can see it, and you see the instructions here, right? You see them in Spanish. You can even play the instructions so you can hear.
Para esta actividad, busca figuras geométricas en tu casa como círculos, cuadrados y rectángulos.
Really nice feature, especially for a world language classroom, right? For a classroom where instruction is happening in dual languages. So really, really nice feature. If you like it, you can add it to your library by clicking on the little heart here. So I guess I'll add that to my library. Then I'll go here to my library and then I'll say, hey, you know what? I think I'm going to assign this to you guys. So I'm actually going to assign this one. I had prepared this one earlier just because it's something that's easy for you guys to do. So I'm going to go ahead and assign it. I'm going to assign it to everybody, all 15 students in this class, or I could pick a small group depending on what, but you know what? I think I'm just going to assign it to everybody. I'm going to give all students in my demo class. So I'm going to click check, assign to my class. Now what you guys should do is you guys can now go to this side right here. You should see a little red, maybe you might have to refresh your screen a little bit, but you should see a little red number 1 or 2 pop up. When you click on activities, you'll see add a response. So if you could go in there and add a response, and can you answer and submit that activity for me? So I will wait here. I see all these people, you guys have not clicked on it yet. When you click on add a response, then I will see you submit it to me. Oh, actually, no, that's not the one I want you to do. But yes, by all means, Maria, please pick whatever lesson. I just wanted, that's actually not the one I wanted you to do. I wanted you to do the colors. This is the one. Here, I'll assign them both. That's the one I wanted you to do. So what's neat is as I'm sitting here, I can see I've assigned 1, 2, 3 lessons, and I can see how many responses are coming in. I have one right here, one that's coming in, and I can look to see, it's right here, right? So I can look to see what people are finishing and submitting. There's one, oh, I think that one was mine. So as you're working on it and finish the assignment, so can you do me a favor, whether you're finished or not, can you go ahead and just click submit and turn it in? I think it's submit, right? Isn't that what it looks like? Or turn in. All right, should I go? I'll go to the Spanish one. Here, I'm going to review the Spanish ones. 2 of them we're waiting for. Look, I can look here and review it if they've submitted it, right? And then I can approve it if I want to. I can send it back. I can say, you know what, can you guys try that one again? But I'm going to go ahead and approve it so you see what it looks like on your end. And then next post. Oh, it might be best to just go this way. There we go. Approve. So you can take a look at it and tell them, give feedback, you know, make sure they're doing work, because you can comment, you can provide feedback. It's a really nice way of being able to really check individual student work. Here's the one that's the Vietnamese one. Nice. Okay, so once things have been approved, then it goes into the little journal. And so it's all in their work. So I'm going to go here. I can see that Grace has 2 items, and here are Grace's 2 items. And that's her journal. This is her digital portfolio. And it's organized by time. So as time goes by, it'll start to build on it. And so the students' work will progressively get better and better and better. So it's a really nice way of organizing things. Another way of organizing is you could create folders in your class. So you can have one folder for language, one folder for mathematics, or even one folder for writing, one folder for vocabulary. And it just depends on really how you want to organize it. So it's a really great way of just getting all of the creativity in one spot. And I think that's why Seesaw really likes what they've done. Okay. Now that you've experienced it as a student, you've had a chance to really look at it as a student, and you've had a chance to experience the activities and what students can do. If you want to, we'll have an opportunity for you to get in and create the class, your own class, and log in as a teacher. When you log in as a teacher, all you need to do is go up to the top right here and click on your name and the gear, and you can switch to, yours will say teacher account, switch to teacher account. And that will log you in as a teacher. And you may or may not have a class already, but that will log you in as a teacher, which is a really nice way of looking at that. So if you want to do that, you can click on the teacher. And then let's talk about how you would create your class. When you create your class, what you saw with what I did is I created the email/Google class. That is easiest for me and our district because every single one of our students in our district has a Google email. So they all logged in, they clicked sign in with Google, and it worked out perfectly. It was beautiful. Kids got in. However, our TK, Kinder, first grade students struggle with the email because our emails are long. There's a number, first initial, last name, and then possibly another number if it's a very common name, and then @ggusd.us. Very long emails. So the students struggle a little bit with those emails. So what we did was we created a class code. Students can either, the teacher will send them a code and they just type it in, and then when they log in, their names will already be there. The teacher has to add that. Or they can create what's called the home learning code. Now, the thing about the home learning code, when you're in Seesaw and you see everybody's journals, you see the whole journal, it's nice to be able to see everybody's work. You know, you can leave it to where you can comment, you can like, students can look at each other's work, they can learn from each other. Especially nowadays when they're all so isolated at home, it's important to be able to make that community, create that community. With the home learning codes, students cannot see each other's work. So I don't recommend it. It's a really easy way of getting them in, and each student has their own code and it works great, but it's difficult for students. One reason why you want to use a home learning code is if you set it up this way, one code won't expire for like a month. It's like 30 days. So you don't have to worry about the codes expiring. If you do the email code, when you do the other codes, it expires in like 7 days. So the kids will have to get in and sign up quickly. If that's not going to be a problem, I don't recommend using the home learning codes. If you think you can get your kids in, if you meet with them and you think you can get them logged in quickly, then I would recommend using these other ways of logging in, either the regular class code or the email. And so what you would do is once you grab it, your class, you go to the little wrench, you add your students, and here's the code. You just send them that code, just like I sent you that code. You can even print these instructions and send instructions that look like this to your students via email, and that would give them. The only thing is, again, this code expires in 7 days. So the students do have to do it. And if they don't get it in time, you have to generate a new code for them to get it. So it depends on really what you have going on with your students. Once you're in, then your students are in just like you did, and you might want to have to give them little tutorials. What I've seen people do a lot is they'll create little tiny videos of them saying, this is how you add a photo. This is how you draw with a pencil. Although our kids are very resilient, they will figure it out. I have a 4-year-old that figured out how to use all of Seesaw's tools just because I was like, here, try this, see what you can do. He learned how to change the pen color. He learned how to record himself talking. He learned how to draw all over his pictures. So our kids are very resilient. They'll figure those things out. But maybe you teach them how to push the submit button. Maybe you teach them how to find an activity and then log on the activity, do the activity, and then submit it again. So those are nice videos to show them how to do. And then you have your activities. I was actually in the activity library preparing for this presentation. I looked to see how many world language activities there were. There are 2,286 world language activities. Lots and lots and lots of activities to choose from. Now, granted, your activities, the activities may not be in the language that you're looking for, but the content can be the same. So when you get an activity that you like, you can edit it and make it your own, which is nice because you find one, you create the activity, right? And then you write it and you edit it and make it your own. It's a really nice way of creating activities. I'm gonna pause there because I really wanna go into in-depth about creating activities, but I wanna make sure I answer any questions that we have at this point. This next part has quite a bit of a cognitive load, so any questions right now? Okay, so creating an activity, especially because your content is your content. Nobody does a better activity. Nobody will make a better activity for your students than you. So when you're creating an activity, all you have to do is fill out this little template and you add in the information that you add in. I don't know if you saw on my activity, I had the pictures on there. So let me look at my activities. Oh, that's not it. Here we go. See how she has the camera here and this little button? These are pictures directly from Seesaw, the little green check. These are pictures that are in the actual platform. So students see this, especially our younger students who are still very visual and need those images. They see, okay, I'm looking for a microphone. They're looking on their, they're gonna find the picture of the microphone. To get those little symbols, you have to use a key. So I'm gonna assign it so you can see. Can I edit? Copy and edit, there we go. So I'm in here and here is the text, right? So notice the symbols aren't in here, but they use a code. You see that? They use a code to be able to get those pictures. So when you see photo, it looks exactly like the photo that was in the menu. Or the microphone looks exactly like the microphone in the menu, so that when the kids are ready, they can use that. This is where you would add your recording. If you wanted to change the recording, you just trash it here and add a new one. I'm not gonna trash it because there's no way I can re-record that one as well as she did. Here's an example, like they made an example and attached it. You can attach your own example right here if you wanted, and then just click save. And now you have the check mark, the pencil, the microphone, and all that good stuff. So here's the thing. With this, in order to get these symbols, you have to know the exact code. This code, there's a whole list of them. If you're on the presentation, if you click here, it takes you straight to the list of all the codes. So you can add, if you want them to press pause, you can add the code for pause. If you want them to do a little check mark, you use this a lot. This one, the check mark and the plus sign, you use a lot. But any of these codes will work in that Seesaw as you're creating your activity. So that's why you would want a link to that, because you want your activity to have these symbols as you're working. That way the students can see the symbols and associate it with the task that you're asking them to do.
Wait, quick
Yes.
question.
Yeah.
Can you go over just how to get to library for community?
Yes. So there's a couple of ways. As a teacher, you would click on the activities tab over here, right? And you can click there and go to browse activity library, which is right here. Or if you're already here and you're just looking at everyone's feeds, you can click here and post assign activity. And that will take you to the activity library. Okay. So activity library is actually a separate place, but you can get there through 2 different ways. All right. Any other questions for building your own activity? It's really a wonderful tool to be, and in the beginning, start small and start simple, right? Very, very simple. That way you start to learn and build as it goes. It's a really nice way of doing that. And earlier we talked about what student work looks like, right? The students will see the add response, and then when they do that, they'll click on their name, and they can submit the activity. You'll see when it shows up what it looks like. Once their work is there, you'll see all of their works stream kind of show up here. All right, we have a few minutes left. I'm going to give you a few minutes just to ask questions, look around. Maria, I think yours might look differently because it needs a software update. I know they're doing a lot of updates right now to be able to handle all the new teachers and new classrooms. So they may have a software update, and that might be something, but maybe wait until after today's presentation to do your software update, because you might end up being knocked off of the presentation. So just stand by for a little bit until after the presentation before you do your software update. You do want to be for any software application, really, for any technology that you use, always be at the most updated version. So I'm going to stop here, give you guys a chance to either go into the activity library, maybe switch over to a teacher account. We also have right here on this some get started guides, step-by-step directions on how to do that. You will have the presentation link, so you will be able to get to these links later, but lots and lots of information there. Just one more minute for you guys to kind of wander around and explore. So keep exploring, keep working. I'm just going to talk in the background, but keep playing the way you're playing. One other thing that I wanted to talk about is the family connection that Seesaw has. And this is originally why I loved Seesaw in the beginning. This is really not going to pertain to your family connection now, because the kids are all at home. So the parents aren't confused as to what the kids are doing. But when I first became a TOSA and I introduced this tool to one of my colleagues who teaches at the school that I used to teach at, we had a huge Vietnamese population. And my colleague told me, she's like, I cannot believe that it was 2nd grade. And she's like, my parents are so excited because now they can hear what the students are doing at school. They can hear the kids sharing about their writing. They can hear the kids talking about their math lesson, and they loved it. And it was in their language and they understood it. And so the family connection for Seesaw is huge. It's a great way for families to connect with what is happening at school when students are actually at school. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it now, just because it's not going to be useful for you now, but it is a pretty big component of why Seesaw is so successful. Nancy asked if you can add a Google Slide activity. Absolutely. When you're in Seesaw, if you wanted to create something, you have the ability, remember we did camera, you can upload from Google right here. And it's really nice because students, what they could do is they can upload a Google slideshow and then screencast and record themselves presenting their Google slideshow. It's kind of nice, it's a really nice feature. Got a lot going on right here. I'm going to approve a lot, but I'm just going to head back to the journal. Okay. What other questions? Compatible with Google Classroom? Absolutely. They're two different things. Seesaw is intended to show what you know. It's intended to, you know, demonstrate skill and mastery. Google Classroom, you could do that as well, but you're not going to get, you're definitely not going to get the audio that you would get in Seesaw and the creativity tools unless you bring in like 4 different applications together and app smash them all together. That's one of the things about Seesaw that I really like. You can use it with Google Classroom, but it is a separate entity. So what I would do is link things into Google Classroom to send it out, but the students would still be creating, working on their journal in Seesaw. So you can use both of them together. You can use just one, just Seesaw by itself as well. Not nearly as robust if you use Seesaw by itself, but definitely doable. What other questions do you guys have? So if I were to add a Google form, you can't embed it to where the student can take it inside Seesaw, but you can send a link. So if you post the link, the students will click on the link and it will take them to the Google form. That's the only way really to embed a Google form, if you want the students to take it. If you want the students to create one and then put it in, they would have to put in a link. The only way to do it is through adding a link. Because if you click on this part right here and you upload the file, it's still just going to be a link. They're not going to be able to fill it out. Any other questions for Seesaw? Nancy asked if I recommend using a separate platform to communicate with parents. Most of our teachers who are using Seesaw are using Seesaw to communicate with parents, because as you see in Seesaw, there is a inbox, and you can message with families. You can make an announcement to the whole family, or you can just message with 1 or 2 family members. One family member. You can't do a group message here. If your district uses, like our district uses a specific platform, if your district uses a specific platform, then maybe go with that one. But the teachers that use Seesaw in our district use Seesaw to communicate as well. They don't communicate through another one just because it's easier. Can you imagine our poor families? I know I've heard from my friends who are parents who have a child in elementary school, intermediate, and high school. They have 3 different applications that they go to. And then when we all went remote, they were checking emails all day long and they were just drowning. It was just way too much. So just to make it easier for them, maybe have just one platform for work and all the communication. So that's how I would recommend it. I recommend just for the ease of our parents. And Seesaw translates, which is nice. So for parents, it won't translate your work for you. So your kids won't go in there and start using all of the translate features. But if the parents, if you teach in a program where you do have parents who don't speak English, and well, although you guys are world language teachers, so I guess you would speak the native language, but it translates. Maybe they speak something that you don't speak, and it will translate in their language as well. Thank you, Tanya. Thank you, Grace. Well, I'm going to stick around. Minhee has some other things for you. I'm going to stop sharing so that Minhee can pop on there.
Thank you so much, Claire.
You're welcome.
For the wonderful presentation, and thank you everyone for the wonderful questions. Okay, so this is time for the feedback form. I will include some links in the chat. The first link under webinar feedback will take you to the questions. Again, if you fill this out multiple times, just focus on your experiences in the past week since the last webinar that you joined. And I will wait about 1 minute or so. And if you have questions about the presentation too, feel free to turn your audio on and you can ask the questions. And in the meantime, I'm going to share my screen. If there's something you wanted to shell play on, just let me know and I'll stop sharing. So we have next week's webinar, again, Thursday, 4 to 5 p.m. on hyperdocs. And then digital storytelling and moving on to creativity with multimedia projects. And again, a new Zoom link will be sent on Wednesday, always the day before the webinar. We have more resources, online art workshops, and professional development opportunities offered by the Center for Creativity and Critical Thinking. I shared the link with you on the chat. Some programs at the College of Education at Cal State Fullerton. We have credential programs, master's programs, and doctoral programs. Again, I've shared the link to this page on the chat. And that's it from us at NRCAL. Please continue finishing the feedback form. If you have any questions, please bring them up. We'll stay around for 2 or 3 more minutes.
Minhee, I'm answering questions in the chat here privately,
Oh,
so
okay.
I'm going to stick around. Yeah. So by all
Okay.
means, if you have questions, please keep chatting with me.
Okay, Anne, a quick question. Can you show us one more time how to switch to teacher's account?
So you know what? That's actually what I'm answering right now in the
Oh,
chat
okay.
window.
All right.
For some people, they may not have a teacher account if they never created one. So they would, excuse me, they would have to log out and then log back in as a teacher. So that menu where I told you to pick as a student, just log back in as a teacher and it will create an account when you log in with the Google account or whatever email you choose to use. I always use Google, so I don't have to remember so many passwords. Seesaw is always very popular. Very, very popular.
Okay, are you still getting more questions through private
Nope,
chat?
I'm good.
Nope.
I'm good now. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Hue-An, and thank you everyone for joining us on the 3rd webinar. Have a good rest of the week, and we hope you'll join us again next week, Thursday. All right, bye.
Bye. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you.